Hey listeners, welcome back to my podcast, eBay the Right Way. This is episode number 111, and today's date is May 3rd, 2023. I'm Suzanne A. Wells, and my guest is Linda in Oklahoma. The only announcement I have is my monthly report on what has been added to the premium library over the past month. So whether you are a member and haven't checked in, or if you haven't taken advantage of the free trial yet, here's what's been happening. My commitment is to add new material every week, and I have kept that commitment since I started the library in 2018. There are now 588 videos with 153 hours of education. Everything is downloadable and you can keep it forever. The reselling world is very fast-paced and can be a challenge to keep up with. So I'm here to help you with that. I have added 3 new bulletins with reselling updates and specific BOLOs, items you want to be on the lookout for, as I learn about them. And trust me, BOLOs just keep coming, so no shortage of those. I started the golf shirt course as promised, added a keyword lesson, a cleaning tip, and the member Q&A for both March and April. I'm always working diligently behind the scenes to provide a variety of information, so there is something for everyone. And all members, even those on the free trial, receive unlimited email support. So I'm here to answer your questions if you need help or can't find something, or just need somebody to rant about eBay to. I'm here for you and usually answer within just a few hours. Okay, now on to the chat with Linda.
Hello, listeners. Welcome back. We have Linda with us today. And tell the listeners where you're located.
I'm located in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. We're the home of Phillips Petroleum Company. And this is my hometown.
And you had some serious weather last night.
Yes, Oklahoma had 8 tornadoes. We had high winds. I don't think we got tornadoes, but power was out all over town.
Oh my. So we are recording this on April 20th. So is this your heavy tornado season?
Yes, but they've been known to happen in January and February too. But yes, this is the high season,
Okay.
So we all stay alert.
Are you a native Oklahomian?
I was born and raised here, but my family moved to north of Seattle when I was in high school. I met a sailor and I moved to Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Then I moved to Illinois. Then I moved back to Missouri. Then I moved here after I became a widow. I moved here to take care of my mother. So I'm here now.
Okay. So you've kind of made your way around the United States.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Well, maybe I need to move to Seattle so I can find a sailor.
Anchors away, my boys, anchors away.
Well, I worked at a shipyard, so it was pretty easy.
Okay. Always keeping my options open.
I hear you. I hear you.
Okay. Well, I reached out to you because I see you posting on the Money Making Mondays and the $100 threads like all the time. So
thank you.
I thought this lady knows what she's doing and you sell some cool things. So why don't we start off with what brought you to eBay? How did you, what was the inspiration that made you start?
Well, back in the 90s, late 90s, I was a country estate auction fiend. I went to auctions out in the country all the time, loved them. Uh, I don't know how I found eBay. I really can't remember. But when I started, there were no pictures. You had to build your own HTML and load it up to
Mhm.
them. It was very complicated. 1998 is when I started. And so my friend and I would go to auctions, and we both collected pottery. We loved pottery. And that was a high time for art pottery, the Macaulay, the uh, uh, Rookwood, all those, potteries were highlight. Well, anyway, we were at one auction, and there was a bunch of pottery on the table, and she wanted the McCoy, and I wanted this. So I said, "You bid on the McCoy, I'll bid on this other little yellow vase." So we bid on it, and she got the McCoy. I got mine for $15. So I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was probably something, because it wasn't marked. So I took it to work, put it on my desk. It sat there for a year. I found out it was a Matt Lauer from Bauer Pottery vase, hand thrown. I put it up. I bought it for $15, put it up on eBay, and it sold for $1,800.
You are kidding.
No, no. I
Ah,
hated it. I sent pictures, across to a person in California that really knew Matt Bauer pottery. Anyway, so yep, that was my first. That got me hooked. That got me hooked.
that would do it.
But it was a chore back. It was a chore back then. We didn't have digital cameras. So you had to get film developed, but when the first digital cameras came out, that was wonderful. So that's why I got started, mostly into art pottery, and Van Briggle. I collect a lot of Van Briggle pottery.
Okay, so that is your area of expertise is pottery.
Used to be, but now I kind of, I'm eclectic. I buy the unusual.
Mhm.
I recently sold some shower cleaner for $40 to $35 a bottle.
Was that the scrubbing bubbles
Yeah.
shower cleaner? Yes, yes, that is still going around. That was a thing like maybe, I don't know, 5 years ago when they stopped making it, and
Right.
people still have those dispensers. Or doesn't it stick on a
It fits in
dispenser
the
and then
shower.
then it rotates and
Yes.
sprays the cleaner all over? I think I had one back in the day, but yeah, they don't make the cleaner anymore, but
Yeah.
though it's still out there, hiding in people's homes. And then here comes an estate sale and everything comes out from under the cabinets and there it
And you
is.
get it for $1.
Yeah, they
I
don't know.
paid $1.
Or maybe they do know, but they're just trying to get rid of everything, or like nobody's going to pay $30 for this at an estate sale.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I I just hunt for the unusual. When I go to an estate sale, I usually head to the bathroom,
Mhm.
to find the outdated things. I love just the odd and quirky things, but I love thrift stores. I got a favorite thrift store I go to,
Mhm.
so I just anything that catches my fancy. But right now I'm kind of getting into dishes, china, and crystal.
Mhm.
So that's hard to ship, but
Yeah, I commend you for that. And storing it can be tricky if it's glassware, and plates are easy, but then glassware kind of takes up a lot of room.
it does, and it's heavy.
Mhm.
That it's heavy, So, but I don't know. But I found the pool noodles are wonderful for
Yes.
packing. That's
Yes.
a big tip.
And how do you use them?
I go to the dollar store, pay $1 a piece or $1.25 for each of them, and I usually cut them in half, and you can wrap it around
Like lengthwise, so it's
lengthwise.
like a
Yes,
cross section, right?
right. Cut them in half, and then kind of make just line it around the item.
Mhm.
If it's a bulk like plates, I pad between the plates, wrap them tight. Tight, that's the thing, that packing tight
Mhm.
is the thing. And then I wrap them in the pool noodles.
Mhm.
And, and another thing I found are the hard little styrofoam boxes that frozen food comes in. They're kind of like the styrofoam coolers, the white styrofoam.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and they're hard, but they're lightweight. And if you can buy them big, if you can find them, they're wonderful to ship dishes in.
Yeah, I used to get a Omaha Steaks package every year.
Right.
And I always saved those coolers because they're that hard styrofoam. I'm like, oh, I can cut this up and pack stuff with this. And I'm always looking at any type of, I hate to say trash, but refuse
Right.
or packing stuff. Like, oh, I could use that for something. And the pool noodles, you can do so many things with them. Like you can just chop them up into little circles and use them like packing peanuts.
Oh,
And they're
great.
not at, I hate packing peanuts. They get everywhere. They're such a mess. They have that static cling. They stick to everything. But if you just chop up the pool noodles into little circles, you can use that as filler. And
Right.
usually at the end of the summer, they'll have them on clearance everywhere.
Right.
It's funny. I see them in Goodwill and thrift stores for $3 a piece. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. So you go to, but getting back to finding things,
Yes.
I love finding the odd and in. I love new old stock items that are still in the package. Recently got a bunch of old thermometers, baby thermometers, the glass baby thermometers,
Oh,
remember?
yeah.
You're probably too young.
I remember
these,
those as a child, mommy saying, don't bite down, put it under your tongue, don't bite it.
Yeah. Well, I'm a retired nurse, so we use those.
Oh,
Yes, I used those 100 years ago, when I was first in nursing. But anyway, just got a bunch of those, sold 2 of them for $25 a piece the day I listed them.
so those have actual mercury in them, right?
Yes,
So
they
was
do.
there any kind of warning, or did you just put it under vintage medical equipment?
Yep, yes, and eBay they'll tag you if I get tagged, a lot. Can't sell this as prescription, whatever. And that it's not prescription sometimes, but I'm not going to fight eBay over that stuff.
No,
It's not worth the hassle.
they cast a pretty wide net trying to monitor what's posted. So sometimes things just don't make sense. Somebody posted something on the Facebook group a few weeks ago. Her listing was pulled and she couldn't figure out why. And it had something to do with, I think, the word mask. Like back in 2020, they really monitored posting,
Price
filtration
gouging.
masks. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think those trigger keywords are still in their algorithm. So if anything is loosely related to something that people were price gouging on, then
Right.
you get that warning, can't list it. And, I get it. eBay is a huge site and they can't monitor everything. And they probably don't go back and change the rules on things that were restricted, but aren't now. So,
Right.
so do you change your keywords or do you just not list that item?
If I only have one, I didn't pay a lot, I just don't bother with it. It goes back into a donation box. But I do head to the medical counters or shelves at the thrift stores a lot, because there's a lot of people out there that need things that can't afford them, don't have insurance to pay for them. I do some on Marketplace, some things, but I find those items, when I head to the medical thing, look into those things. I love to go to the hardware section and look for packaged items that haven't been opened, like light plates, just anything, and I scan everything. I Google it, I look it up, I find myself a little corner in the store and I kind of do a lot of that. And
Mhm.
then I take things back that I don't need, but
Right.
I research before I buy usually,
Very good.
unless you just know some things you just know. The
Oh
best one
yeah,
is
like you've sold it before. Like I found something the other day I recognize. Oh, I've sold this before. I don't even need to look it up. I'm just gonna get it.
isn't that wonderful? I know. I was in a thrift store and I tripped over a box and I opened it up and it was a Texas Instrument calculator.
Oh, nice.
One of the ones that are in high demand. But they had $10 on the box. I didn't even look it up. I said $10 Texas Instrument. I'm grabbing it. It had all the instructions and everything. I can't remember what it sold for, but I'm sure it's over $100.
Mhm.
And those we love those things. Don't you just love
Mhm.
those things? You
Oh,
know,
yes.
and I tripped over a box at another store, literally tripped over it. And I opened it up and it was a sewing machine.
Uh-huh.
And I knew it was a featherweight, Singer featherweight, which is very highly coveted by quilters. $25. I tell you, I was shaking. I was literally, how you get, you're just vibrating in place when you
You're
go to
like
the
on the
counter.
Price is Right and you just won.
I know. I walked out with $25. I have friends that are quilters, we go to the quilt shows and I had to send them pictures because that sold for over $500. I took it to a singer, to a repair person and had them repair, do the once over on it. And once I got it, yeah, it sold for over $500.
So how was that to ship?
UPS, not hard to
Okay.
ship. It was in its own box. I mean, it came in a hard case like they
Mhm.
did back in the
Mhm.
day. So I just made sure everything inside was secure. I hate rattles. Don't you hate rattles?
I do. I don't want anything moving in that box because you just don't know what kind of chain reaction that's going to set off as
No,
it
so I
travels along.
made sure everything didn't rattle. Then I put it in a box similar to size and UPS. But people
Okay.
that want those things, they'll pay the price to ship it.
Right. Well, I sold my sewing machine when I first started eBay. Let's see. I kind of taught myself to sew in the late 90s and then kids came along and you don't have time for that anymore.
Mhm.
I made some Halloween costumes and stuff like that. And then when I started on eBay going through my house, I looked up how much it was worth and I'm like, yeah, I really don't need this now.
Really,
And I
really.
think it was like a basic Singer starter sewing machine. It wasn't anything elaborate. But I think it sold for about $200. And I remember taking that to UPS. Like, I don't know, it took me over an hour to package it to ship, but
Mhm,
I figure, big companies do this all the time. They ship large
mhm.
items, so I can do it.
Yeah,
But it was
I
pretty heavy.
UPS will charge extra if you wrap a box in paper to ship it, like the brown wrapping
Oh
paper.
yeah, never do that because that paper can come off.
What comes off the conveyor, and they charged me $20 for a package because I had wrapped it in paper. And so I took a package recently to UPS and it was wrapped in brown paper. And they said, we will charge you extra for this because it gets caught on our new conveyor belt.
Mm-hmm.
And so they charged me, they said, we'll charge, they maybe up to $25 extra just because it was wrapped in paper.
I wonder if they go back and put tape all around it so it can't get caught on the conveyor, or so they do something to it so that it doesn't get caught on the conveyor belt.
Well, maybe somebody out there in your system knows how they do
Yeah,
that.
that's a good question. Maybe somebody will answer that for us.
You know,
But yeah, that was the way we shipped things back in the day. You wrapped them in brown paper, grocery bags, whatever. And
right?
now with the modern processing in all of the shipping services, they don't want that paper on there.
No,
The
no.
whole brown paper package is tied up in string, and that is an old thing.
I remember that. I remember that. But anyway, it's just fun to sell. I people know that you do, and they ask you about things. When I was in home health for a long time, and one of my friends' wife had a Hallmark store, and she was shutting down, and they had all their inventory in the back, and that was Department 56, like Halloween houses, the Christmas houses, you know. So
Mhm.
we sold on commission. You know, I took, I think, 40% or whatever of the sale, you know, but my house was full of Department 56 and place settings for nice china, you know. That was fun. That was fun to do
Well,
that.
and that's kind of easy to list because everything's new in the box.
Right.
You just
You're
take those
absolutely
pictures and get them listed. And I wonder if people bought multiple items because you had so much, you know, like they bought the whole line of whatever Barbie or Star Wars or whatever.
right. Absolutely. One of my best things, I had a friend that his family owned a radio station, and they had I guess what you call like a satellite radio station in a small town. And I called him up. I said, "Do you have any records left at the radio station?" He goes, "Oh, Linda, I got a whole radio station full of records." I said, "Can I buy them from you?" I bought all his records for $300, and he got a commission. And 10% of everything I sold. Some of those records sold for $200 a piece. They were
Really?
they were 45s, never been played, radio promo copies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I just scanned them. I would put them on my scanner and scan them and put them up for sale. And they were the real obscure labels, you know, obscure artists, not your well-known artists, you know, like Dean Martin. Those things don't sell. But give me a song by the Continentals on a white label. Who were they? I don't know, but it sold for $500 or $600.
You are kidding.
No. And you can buy special boxes to ship records in,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So that's what I did. I mean, oh, that was so much fun. That was so much fun. It was a heck of a lot of work getting those records out of that radio station because it was upstairs. You know, my
Oh,
stepson and I used a dolly. We took them all down and hauled them all out, you know, but that was fun. That was fun.
and that is a lot of work. Records can be heavy.
They're heavy, and it was a lot of research.
Mm-hmm.
And so you know, you back then you bought books, you know. So I mean, I had every book on everything that sold. I had a bookcase full of price guides, you know, on pottery and glassware and records and fishing. You know, you had it all.
Well, and were they couples guides?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, that's the gold standard of research. And I remember seeing people working at the small thrift stores, like the Humane Society thrift store, whatever. And as boxes of stuff would come in, they'd pull those books out from under the counter to research how to price them. And I'm thinking, you know, you're not going to get $500 for that in a thrift store. That was just kind of interesting. You know, what else were you going to do? They had to put some kind of price on it and see what
Right.
it's worth. But that was before you could look everything up and see the historical data, like on Terapeak, of what it sold for.
Yes.
All you had was and the couples guides. I mean, they've been making them since like 1960.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they go way back.
I mean, I know I had at least 100. So when I moved, I donated them. Somebody got a gift. Somebody got a gift, you know, but they're just too heavy to keep, you know. But it's I had a friend that brought me a huge box of his mother's dolls.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them were nothing, but I would pull one out and go, "Who are you?" And I'd have to look her up.
Like she was going to answer you.
Right, you know, but you do that, you know, who are you, you know? And it was just, you know, people would bring you things, you know, if they know you sell, you know. They had a friend that had all her toys from the 50s, her dolls, her dishes, her things like that, So, that's how I really got started, but people would bring me things they had,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted
Right.
to
'Cause
sell,
you had it
so
figured out. You knew how to sell it. And it is a lot to learn, especially back then when it wasn't so automated. We didn't have the eBay app. We didn't have all these research tools. You just had to come up with ways to figure out the value.
yeah, back in the day before there were so many of us out there,
Mm-hmm.
yard sales were wonderful. They
Mm-hmm.
still can be, but I'm not an early bird. I don't do a lot of yard sales.
So
There's
going back to the Covell's guides, just for the listeners,
Mhm.
I used to go to the library and check them out. And they'd have 20 something volumes, and I would check it out for 2 weeks and just put it on my coffee table and just kind of pick it up and flip through it, when I'm sitting there with the kids doing their homework, or when I didn't have to be engaged in something. And just to learn about stuff, just
Absolutely.
flip through those books because they have pictures, and they talk about, pottery is one area that I am not knowledgeable about, but
Mhm.
they would have specific ones just for pottery, just for dolls, just for glassware, and then the very specific glassware,
Yes.
like the names
JDI.
Steuben glass and Blinko and Murano and all those. Like, it all looks the same to me.
Yeah. Well, in fact, Susan, that's how I found out how much that vase was worth. The one I sold for $1,800, because this was back in 2000 or something like that. And I was at an antique mall with some friends, a book on Bauer pottery. And on the cover was my vase, or the color. It was called Chinese yellow.
Okay.
It was the color of my vase, not my vase. So I opened that book up, and there it sat. It was a hand thrown vase.
And it's Bauer?
Yes, Bauer.
Bauer. Okay.
Mm-hmm. They do a lot of ringware dishes and bowls. That's the highly sought after item now.
Okay.
The ringware.
Explain, what is ringware?
Okay. Well, it looks like it's got a ring around it. The bowl will have, looks like they laid the clay and made rings to go around. It's in the molding of the bowl.
Oh, so it's like a lip around the top, or is it around the whole thing?
All the way around, the whole thing.
Okay.
Ringware pottery.
I'm going to look that up.
Yeah. You see it at thrift stores every once in a while. It's kind of like mid-century modern stuff.
Okay.
People, that's the high thing now. Just sold some Melmac, had it hanging around for a year or so. The old plastic Melmac dishes.
Melamine. Is it same as melamine?
Is Melamine and Melmac.
Okay. Yeah, I do know about that.
I had some yellow stuff. I had a whole set of, like, for a picnic, and it finally sold, but sometimes it sets. But some of that stuff, like Russell Wright, he's big mid-century modern stuff, dishes.
Okay.
Russell Wright, he has a Iroquois line, different lines, that are highly sought after. I look for things like that. Just anything and everything, Susan. I'm not particular into one thing. It's whatever grabs my fancy. I was doing shoes for a while. Now that's a pain.
Yeah, I keep going back and forth on those. Like, they seem to sit for a while, and they do take up more space than other things to store.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep going back and forth because I'll make the decision. I'm not going to do any more shoes. And then I'll walk by, and just on the right in front of me on the end cap of the shoes is like this wonderful pair of something that is worth a lot of money. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll do these.
I know.
But it's like, I don't even really look at the shoes, but if something pops up in front of me, like it's in the wrong place or whatever, and it's a good item. But
right.
So what were your frustrations with shoes? I bet
Cleaning.
Cleaning. Okay.
Yes, cleaning. I buy the athletic shoes, but I did watch some YouTubers on how to clean shoes, how to clean them. The Miracle Eraser does wonders on
Mm-hmm.
some of the white shoes. Just cleaning is a hassle, but I sell my stuff clean. I want them clean. I won't put mud on them or anything like that, and checking them for cracks and if the soles are coming off, and just they're a lot of work. They really are.
Yeah, and you get home with something and you're like, oh, I didn't check that. I bought this beautiful pair of leather Ralph Lauren riding boots, just
Mhm,
gorgeous, buttery soft black leather.
mhm.
I get home and the heel was coming loose. Like, okay, I'm either going to have to take these and have them repaired because I'm not just going to glue it back together. Because what if the buyer gets it and then it falls apart on them? That's not
Right.
going to be good. So, and there was a guy on YouTube years ago. He doesn't do videos anymore. His name was Tino, the shoe guy.
Hmm.
INO. I think his videos are still there, but apparently his dad was in the shoe business or something, and he had all these ways to clean leather and cleaning and restoring leather boots and
Right.
shoes. And I think he was in Texas, so a lot of boots there, but he stopped doing it. He moved on to something else, but his videos were great. But I think you have to have a passion for that restoring part of it, because I don't want to clean leather. I don't want to polish shoes. I want to list little baby blankets and baby toys.
I know.
Things that are already like ready to go. I don't want to do a whole lot of restoring. And like
Yes.
Ken McNamara on the group who does the pots and pans, and he and
Right.
his wife clean those pans, and it's just miraculous what he can do. But I don't want to do that. It just makes my arms tired to think about scrubbing these pans.
Right.
I
I
had
know.
enough of that when I was raising kids and cooking every day.
Isn't that the truth? And I have this favorite little thrift store I go to. It's Ability Works. They employ people that other people wouldn't employ.
Like
the
mentally challenged people.
mentally.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Mhm.
And so I went the other day and there were 2 boxes of china in the original. Inside the boxes, the dishes were in their boxes. Like the
Mhm.
place settings are still in the place setting boxes.
Oh, okay. They were in the boxes that the manufacturer put them in.
Yes, yes. And there were 2 big boxes of them sitting there. And I said, and I looked them up. They're a pattern that sells, but they're not high dollar, but they do sell. Empress China. No, Royal Victoria China. Anyway, and I said, how much for those 2 boxes? $15 for 2 boxes full of china. So a place setting will sell for that.
Uh-huh.
10 place settings. So those little stores, I love it. But don't you love it when you go into another kind of thrift? They have these items priced for $150. And you go to the rack, and I kid you not, this is a true story. I go to the rack and I see a trench coat, and I know it's good. You can just tell quality items, when they're
Oh
made.
yeah, you can feel it.
You know that feeling.
Uh-huh.
So it was $7.89 this trench coat. And I think it was Herman Geis was the
Uh-huh.
lady. I sold it for $350. I paid, I don't know, $5.79, not more than $10. I can't remember. It went to Japan, but don't you love that when you go into a store and they have things priced $150 and you can go to a rack and find something?
That is the challenge for us as treasure hunters, because
Yes.
there's things in there they don't know about or they haven't priced up. And that happens to me all the time. I'll walk in a little maybe church thrift store, and they have this rack at the front with all these things. That's their boutique section. And
Mhm.
all these things are way overpriced. And I just think in my head, yeah, good luck with that. And then I'll go look through the clothes and I'll find Eileen Fisher for $1, or, a vintage Ralph Lauren crested blazer for $1. And it's like, okay. And sometimes those items that are marked up a little bit, you can still flip for good money.
Right.
But, you just wonder, what is their strategy? What is their process for pricing? Because I've seen things, and I'm sure everybody listening has seen Walmart stuff new with the tag priced for more than it cost at Walmart. It's a sweater, an ugly Christmas sweater, and it's got a $10 tag on it from Walmart, and they've got it for $20. It's like,
I know. And some stores have the eBay picture.
Oh, right.
With the item. And I'm going, honey, that's what they listed for. That's not what they sold it for.
Yeah, they don't even know what they're printing off. They're clueless,
I know. I went, we have another thrift store here in town. It's called Tuesday House. And they open on Tuesdays and Saturdays, but they have for girls. It's kind of like they support like a girls club, or, it's for girls,
Okay.
And it's a charity group. And I found this, I said, this looks really cool. It was up on the shelf. It was a Starbucks tumbler. And it was really different looking, but $1. I said, anything's worth $1. It was a collector's item. It was a hibiscus one. It sold for, I don't know, $250. Something, those things are few and far between. A lot of my things I pay $1 for and sell it for $19. I'll turn $1 into $20 any day.
Yes, I like that. It's easy, and some days those are the only sales you get are the under $20 ones. But if you only paid 50 cents or $1 for it, it's still good money coming in.
That's our bread and butter.
Those
are what we call your bread and butter items. Those Starbucks cups, the vases, they are, once or twice a month things, but the bread and butter things, those are every day,
Now, back to the Starbucks tumblers, the ones that sell for a lot of money. The listeners might not know this, but there are actually collecting groups on Facebook.
Absolutely.
And you can just go in there, join it. This is where people sell things back and forth, or I'm looking for this cup for my collection. And you can see which ones are more sought after and expensive. Of course, you can do that on Terapeak too, but sometimes there's like 8,000 results and you're not going to look through all that. But if you go on these collecting groups, you can just observe, just be a lurker and just look at, because it changes all the time. Like all of a sudden, everybody wants this one. And that one may not have been popular 2 months ago, but now everybody wants it. Or there's a newly released one that you can only buy in the stores, and they go out and buy those and then sell them on these groups for marked up prices, because not everybody got one. There's not going to be enough for everybody, which is why the prices are so high. But it can just look so ordinary. Somebody sold one. I'm thinking it might have been ginger lamprite. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But it was like a clear glass tumbler, with the straw in it and the Starbucks mermaid on the front. And it was just clear glass. And I don't know, maybe $80 for something like that. It's just the average person, the untrained eye, is not going to realize that's expensive. So that's what we just have to be, the smarter people.
And another thing, Susan, are remote controls. Remotes. I've done well with the remotes for the beds. Those sleep comfort beds that are
like the Sleep Number beds.
Yes, those remotes, because people lose them, people break them, they will sell for, I'm well over $50, $75 or more each. And you can find them sometimes for $1.50 to under $5. I know I went to Goodwill, and on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, that's when their trucks come in here.
Okay.
And and so the racks come out about 1:30 or 2 in the afternoon. Well, the vultures all head to them, so you got to be there. I just don't like that kind of attitude. I don't like the rush in and everybody's there kind of thing.
And the people that just hover at the back doors are just waiting for those bins and racks to come out, and then they just pounce, and they do it at ours. And it's like, don't shop from the racks. Let the employees put the stuff out, and they're just doing their job,
right?
And you've got all these people hanging around them and pulling stuff.
Right.
It's just, you don't have to be that aggressive. There's enough for everybody.
I know, but I was there one day and the rack, had been, I call it the feeding frenzy.
Yep.
It's kind of like a shark feeding frenzy when those things come out. But anyway, everybody'd gone, and I looked on the top of the rack, and there sat a TV remote control in the package, never opened. I can't remember what kind it was, but it was, I don't know, under $10. It sold for well over $100. It was one of those highly sought after remotes, you can look them up. But it was I'd watched somebody on YouTube and they were selling them. So it's like, okay, it's another one of those I'm shaking till I pay for it times, Well,
what I've gathered from other sellers that sell remotes is it's the obscure ones, like not necessarily TV or, VCR or DVD. It's like for a ceiling fan, or, the DVD system in your car, or like you said, those adjustable beds. In fact, I was talking to somebody recently that was like, yeah, my dog chewed up my remote to my Sleep Number bed. It fell on the floor and they chewed it up. And now I got to buy another one. And it's like some astronomical price. And I'm like, well, just go on eBay and buy a used one. And they're like, I never would have thought of that,
I know. Electric blanket controls. Those are another, some of them, not all of them, some of them, they sell,
That's a remote, or that plugs into the blanket?
The plugs into the blanket,
Mm-hmm.
The 2-pronged or whatever,
Yes. Uh-huh.
I mean, I tell you, it's so funny, Susan, because at Christmas, I go shopping in my stash.
Uh-huh.
And that's a lot of things. For my grandchildren, I got 6 grandchildren, and they were raised by parents that taught them you don't have to have the top-notch things.
Uh-huh.
They appreciate anything and everything. My granddaughters and my grandsons are wonderful. It's always, thank you, Gammy. Thank you, Gammy. And I just go shopping in my stash. And most of the things I have are new in the package.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is baby items. I tell you, those little sleepers are expensive, and so I recently, one of my great niece, in fact, she just had them yesterday, twins, a boy and a girl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I had those sleeper blanket zip up things, those that you zip a baby up in,
It's like a sack that their feet move around, but yeah.
They're like $30 or more.
Mm-hmm.
I found them at thrift stores and new in the package, never opened, bought several, and learned how to take off the magic marker, and they look just brand new. So that's what she got. She got, like, I guess I gave her 4 or 5 of them, and she just thought Aunt Linda was wonderful, but.
Well, that is a great tip, because, I normally skip over the children's stuff just from a time perspective. But yeah, I should start looking for new in the package things, because that would be so easy. And, everybody has to go to baby showers and wants to buy for their grandkids and all that kind of stuff. And, it's amazing what me observing people in my age group that are grandparents or becoming grandparents, and they just want to buy everything. And it's like, but you might not be able to find it in a store, You might be able
Right.
to find that specific, Georgia Bulldog baby sleeper thing on eBay. So yeah, and baby clothes don't take up a lot of room. I always go back to that just because I just
And
don't
that's
want
true.
my house to look like a Goodwill store. I mean, I try to keep everything put away, but it is a challenge sometimes. But back to the baby stuff. What is your trick for removing the magic marker?
I use an erasable marker,
Oh, like a dry erase?
dry erase. That'll
Uh-huh.
take it off, or gunk off some of those spray things, take it
Uh-huh.
off. Tags I take off with hair dryers.
Right. The sticky
You know.
stuff that won't come off, just work it off with a hair dryer. Good.
Right, that kind of thing, But yeah, I use the dry erase marker.
So you
That'll
just
work.
draw over whatever it is that you want to remove and it just
And
comes
wipe it.
off. There's just
Mhm.
that one step.
Yeah, and wipe it off. Yeah.
So, and that's for fabrics.
Not on fabric,
No, not on fabric.
on
Okay.
plastic. Your
Plastic stuff.
things, anything that's in a package.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So they've written the price on the plastic. that
Yes,
item.
I hate that.
Okay.
Or okay, the bottom of his shoes,
Mhm.
white toothpaste takes that off.
Okay.
On the bottom, a magic marker on bottom of shoes.
Right.
White toothpaste will take that off. Like Pepsodent, it has to be the white.
So
But
is it like a special like brightening or whitening or just any
Nope.
white toothpaste, Colgate, whatever?
I go to the dollar store and buy the cheapest white toothpaste,
I love that.
and it'll
I've
take
not
that
heard
magic
that
marker
one.
off. Yeah, that's you just learn things from people on the internet. You just watch and learn. And it's people like you that have your shows and your podcasts and your websites, and you learn from other people.
Oh,
You-
absolutely. Yeah.
You just do. And I was getting back to what you find in stores. I was at a church resale shop and I saw these like flip-flops in their bags. I thought, they're $2 a bag. I don't know those. They were OOFOS. OOFOS.
Okay. Yes, I've seen those. Okay.
High dollar.
Really?
Yes. They'll sell, I don't know, $40 or $50 a pair. And they were in the plastic bag. Somebody had donated, and they were brand new. And they sold them for $2. I didn't know what they were, but I said they looked nice, so I bought them. I took them home. I went back to see if they had any more that had been donated, because sometimes I get bulk stuff donated.
I do that too. And I'm like, oh, I found one of these. I wonder how many more there are. Like, did these all come from the same person?
I know.
Don't you find yourself thinking that when you're out thrifting, you're like, why did this get donated? What happened? How did this get here?
Did grandma die?
Well, I mean, there is a lot of that, and there's a lot of downsizing to go
Yes,
different places.
I'm gonna tell you
at all stages of life, there's downsizing. But you look at something like, I found a Rag and Bone. I don't know if you know that brand.
Yes.
Okay. 100% cashmere sweater, the really thick kind.
Mm-hmm.
I've never even found that brand. I've known about it, but it was $3.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I couldn't get home fast enough to hand wash it and get it ready to list, because those sell for around $100. It's just, and it was in great condition, no holes, no moth damage, nothing. I'm like, let's get here. What is going on?
I tell you, my thrift store must have got a donation from an elderly woman or something, because I walked in the other day. They had vintage slips, full slips, Vanity Fair.
Nice.
I bought 3 of them. Just sold one for $30. And just today I took an offer. I had it priced higher, but I take offers. I accept offers. I price them maybe $10 more than what I really want for them. And then when somebody makes me an offer, I can take it and not bite the bullet too hard.
And like on
But
days when you're not getting sales, it's like, okay, yeah, I'll take that. I need some sales. I'll take that. I find that all the time. I'll let that go.
Right. But I think it helps your algorithm too when you sell, you take offers. I've been finding I found for $1 a pair, the vintage penny pantyhose. Now JC Penney's is out of business, I think.
Right.
And so they must have had, like a same place, must have had donation from some lady. I think I bought 8 pair of pennies pantyhose for $1 a pair. And I lot them. And if they're the same size, like size D or whatever, I'll sell those in a lot. Shoot, sold those the second day I had them up. One of my favorite things to find are the old ladies hosiery with seams. You can't find those very often.
Like from the 40s?
Yes, in the 50s. Oh, well, heck, honey, we wore them when I was a kid. That's how old I am.
Okay, anyway. Well, I was going to say, I think you're in the baby boomer generation. So,
well, I'm 70.
Okay.
So.
Well, look at you at 70, just doing your eBay side hustle. I mean, that's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
You don't have to just be retired and sit around and do nothing. You can do something fun that makes money.
It keeps me off the streets. That's what
keeps you out of the bars, right?
Isn't that the truth? But the hosiery that's still in the boxes, sometimes you can find those at estate sales, and some of those will sell for $100 a pair, depending on what they are. And the bigger, the better. The larger the size, the better. I tell you what, another thing, Susan, used to be wonderful were ink pens. The old refillable ink pens. I haven't found any lately, but man, I had a book on those. Colville, never go back to the Colville books, but I had a book on ink pens, and they were easy to ship. Oh my gosh.
So you're talking about fountain pens.
Fountain pens, yes.
Have the nibs on the end.
Yes.
And you refill. I found some of those one time. I bought a lady's, I guess you could say, inventory. She had an antique booth and she was going out of business. And I saw this ad and I was like, well, I'm going to go see what she has. And so, of course, I picked out all the little things. And there was a bag of those. And I sold those nibs. Some of those, I mean, the prices really surprised me because you can't.
Well, they're 14 karat gold.
Yeah, well, they're that and they don't make them anymore.
Right.
So, and people who are into writing instruments, they like really fine writing instruments for whatever reason, but that's kind of an overlooked thing too.
I sold a lot of those to Japan.
Really?
Don't ask, I have no idea, but a lot of those fountain pens went to Japan when I sold them. But when I went to auctions, I would head to the table and look into all those little boxes that had, some of them came in their own box, their own little case,
right.
The case, they came in
carrying
sets or whatever, and man, I'd scarf those up. I went to an auction to end all auctions a few years ago in Illinois, and your fabric picture reminds me of it. They had the old flour sacks that were printed back in Depression. They sold flour in printed sacks, and that's how women made clothes for their kids. That was the Depression. And those flour sacks used to sell for big bucks, and there's this one guy buying them left and right. And I go, what are you buying? And he goes, I'm buying a bass boat. He bought a bass boat with all the flour sacks that he sold, so it's just, but anyway, this auction had a table full of costume jewelry, and they took them out of their box, and they were the Weiss jewelry, the Weiss costume jewelry.
WEISS?
I think that's the name.
Okay.
And they had all the boxes under the table. They had hundreds of pieces of that. These people must have been hoarders. That's all I can say. That's why I bought a box of my ink pens there. But it was like one of those auctions where you wish you had $10,000 you didn't know what to do with, but anyway, I'm all over the place, Susan, I know, but that's just me. My head's all over the place. I'm on swivel when I walk into any thrift store.
Well, how many items do you have in your store, your eBay store?
Right now, my listings are 7. I have maybe 200 items in my store. It's White Oak Trading Post. And I have 700 items listed,
Excellent.
I tweak it all the time. Yesterday, I went to my little thrift store, found 3 boxes of Fostoria heritage glassware goblets in the original boxes from a store that went out of business over 30 years ago, because I knew this store. I bought them for $5 a box. Those things are up for sale today, so that's just what I do. I do that and I crochet. What can I say?
Well, I have a question for you because of your age group. I often hear from retired or pre-retired people that are like, well, I get eBay and that you can make money, but I don't want it to interfere with my Social Security. Like, they're afraid to make money because they might have to pay taxes on it.
You do.
How do you look at that situation?
You keep good records. I just did my taxes and my eBay. Of course, this is the first year I got a 1099 from eBay. And that you just got to keep your records,
because it's not like you automatically are going to be paying all these taxes. It has to do with your entire financial picture.
Absolutely.
And you build that in, you keep track of your home office expenses, your eBay expenses, your fees, all of that. And it has to do with how it all plays out on your tax return. So,
I couldn't believe it when I got my 1099. I said, I knew I was busy, but over $40,000.
Well, and that includes shipping too. It's any money that came to you through eBay.
Right.
So that's why you need to be able to back those expenses out.
Over
like, what did I really make?
I didn't really make $40,000.
No.
But my shipping and all that took over half of it. Over half of it was gone. So really your taxable was about half of what that is, So, but yes, that is a worry, Susan. It is a worry for us that, I have I have pension and I have Social Security. Sure. I worked 35 years, I'm a retired nurse, but it doesn't get cheaper as you get older.
But you still walk away with money. That's the bottom line, is don't let the fact that you're going to have to pay some taxes on this deter you from doing this business, because the sky's the limit. Look at what you've talked about in the last hour, that things you found and sold. That's just the world we live in. You're going to have to pay taxes, but if you keep good records, you can minimize that. And, would you rather have 100% of nothing or 80% of something? That's the question.
That's true. But it keeps your mind alive. That's what's important. Don't sit around and stagnate. It's exercise. You go out, you walk through the stores, you count your steps. Hello. When you go to some of these thrift stores, I go on 2 or 3 times a week. I buy nothing sometimes, but you're active. You stay active. And that's the main thing for anybody that's retired, is just to stay and keep your mind active. You live longer. My mother
I feel like I do know a lot of retired people, and the ones that thrive are the ones that are engaged in life, have a social life, do something they enjoy. It doesn't have to be just, playing silly games on your phone. When you're out in the world, it's good for your soul to stay engaged. And, the grandparents I know, when they spend time with their grandkids, that revitalizes them. Being around youth helps you feel younger and stay younger.
Yes.
I did a thrifting day this week, and I went to 2 stores, and it was 5 hours total.
Mhm.
And like, you're on your feet, you're thinking about things, you're using your mind, you're around people. I like the music in the thrift store. you know,
Well, my thrift
nice
store plays
experience.
my music. It's so funny because the Goodwill store I go to, one of the gal, you get to be friends with these people,
Mhm.
and we're about. She's younger than me, but I walk over to her and they were playing some music, and I go, "Will you believe I was at this concert in 1972?"
Really?
It's like I still think of myself as that gal that went to those concerts, back in the 70s. Dude, yeah, man, hold that big lighter up, you know?
So now you're like a slam dancing granny.
Yes,
To that older music.
my kids love it. My son inherited his father's music collection. And I tell you, when we go there, we get down.
Good for you. Don't stop believing, as Journey would say.
Amen. Saw them in concert.
That's right. Well, Linda, it has just been a joy talking with you. And normally my last question is advice, but you've already given that. It just for folks in your age group to stay engaged and stay busy and use your mind and experiment with things. I mean, this has pretty much been an hour of advice from Linda.
Oh no,
Yes,
no.
with all your cleaning tips and all of that. This has really been, I've learned a lot from you. I'm so glad that you could come on.
Well, thank you for asking. I told all my family about it. So it's like Grandma Gammy's a star now, you
Yeah.
know.
Jamie's going to have her 15 minutes of fame on the internet.
Okay. Well, you're so sweet. And I love your website. And I am going to buy your book.
Oh, well, if you do or don't, no problem. I
Yeah.
love making them. I'm like, oh, people need to know this and they need to know that. And it just kind of happens naturally. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, I really appreciate you taking the time. What are you doing for the rest of the day? Is this a thrifting day or what?
I've already boxed up some things, put them out in the mail. I have my mailman pick them up. I live in a safe area. So, in fact, I've got a partially hidden front porch, and I put a box out there and set him everything in the box and scan, and he just scans them right out of my box. I love my mailman. He's a sweetheart, and then so I'm going to maybe go a little thrifting this afternoon. There's estate sales this weekend, so I'm kind of saving my money for that.
Yeah, save up your energy for that.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, thanks again. And we will watch for your amazing sales on the Facebook group.
Thank you, dear. Thank you for asking me.
Anytime. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Linda, for sharing your wisdom. It was a pleasure to finally meet you and chat with you. Today's trivia question, since Linda touched on selling glassware. What is Vaseline glass and why is it unusual? Here's a few seconds to think about it. Before I go on to the answer, let me preface this with a disclaimer that I am not a glass expert. And if you are and want to come on this podcast and discuss glass, let me know. Maybe we can make that happen. Okay, what is Vaseline glass? There are different definitions of what is or is not Vaseline glass, and it depends a lot on what part of the world you are located in. But simply put, Vaseline glass is uranium glass, which is yellow, as opposed to other glass of various shades of green, custard, jade, etc. This is referring to the basic color of Vaseline glass and does not take into account various forms of decoration. Okay, here's some more information on that. Vaseline is a particular color of yellow-green glass that is made by adding as little as 0.1% to 0.2% uranium dioxide to the ingredients when the glass formula is made. The addition of the uranium dioxide makes the glass color yellow-green. Vaseline glass is always verifiable by using a UV or black light on the glass item. So that's going to be hard to do in the store because you need to do it in the dark and use a black light. So when this is done, the glass turns a bright fluorescent green. Sometimes even the most trained eye can be fooled by a piece of glass that looks like Vaseline glass, but without the addition of uranium, the glass will not glow or fluoresce bright green under a black light. Uranium glass became popular in the mid-19th century, with its period of greatest popularity being from the 1880s to the 1920s. Uranium dioxide is radioactive. So that is its special quality. Vaseline glass is a type of uranium glass. So you can Google what Vaseline and uranium glass look like with a black light shined on them in the dark. Okay, maybe too much information? Maybe not. But now you know. Okay, next week my guest is Tina, who started eBay as a way to pay for her daughter's college to avoid the burden of student loans. Tina sells all kinds of items and has some really entertaining stories. Thank you, everybody, for supporting this podcast by listening to it and telling your friends. I hope you learned something new. Keep on keeping on, and I'll talk to you next week. Happy selling, everybody. Bye for now.